Hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin, check. You already know. Let's go. Golden Blued is a college football YouTube channel for entertainment. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And let's get into our next college football video. Biggest or the best example anybody can use as far as what's wrong with college football right now. What am I talking about? I'm talking about hoarding talents and then doing absolutely nothing about it. Texas A&M is so bad, and this is so, well, entertaining, that I had to make some notes on it. That's how bad it is at Texas A&M. You know it's bad when Golden Blued has to make notes about it. Texas A&M is hoarding 4- and 5-star talent over there. What do they have to show for it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's time for Texas A&M fans to admit, the few that haven't admitted it yet, that Jimbo Fisher was a mistake. He is not a very good head coach. You can't use Florida State anymore. That was long time ago, all right? You can't, well, you won a national championship at Florida State. No, you can't use that anymore. That was a long time ago. It happened one time. Great recruiting class. One of the best quarterbacks that Florida State has ever had. That is in the past. In fact, if you compare the record that Jimbo Fisher has right now and the same record that Kevin Sumlin had at this point in his career, Kevin Sumlin had a better record. Yeah, that's how big of a mistake this was for Texas A&M to hire Jimbo Fisher. And it was a costly mistake. And it looks like the mistake is going to continue. I don't know if Texas A&M is going to fire him anytime soon, simply because that is a crap ton of money. So what has he done in 5 years at Texas A&M? Oh, man. Well, 2018, 9-4. That's not bad. 2019, slight step backwards, 8-5. 2020, here we go. Texas A&M proving what talent can do. 9-1 in COVID year, and they finished number 5, just one spot out of the playoffs. Yeah, we're really proving that Jimbo Fisher's recruiting is going to get Texas A&M to the playoffs and to the national championship. What happens the next year in 2021? Well, they take a slight step backwards, 8-4, and then this year a total disaster by going 5-7. And we saw it from the beginning. They lost to freaking Appalachian State, and I heard it from Texas A&M fans. No, I just think that Appalachian State is just that good of a team. No, you should never, if you're in the SEC, unless your name is Vanderbilt, you should never lose to Appalachian State at home. That is not acceptable. That's unacceptable. You can't do it. So there's no excuses for that. And that was your sign right there. You should have known, oh man, we just lost to Appalachian State. This is going to be a rough year. You should have known that. And looking at their production this year, well, they didn't have a bad defense. They allowed 21.2 points per game, which was 29th. That's actually a pretty good defense, but still not elite. But their offense, yikes. They scored just 22.8 points per game, which is 102nd. West Virginia, lowly West Virginia, had a better offense than Texas A&M. And yes, Texas A&M had a much better defense than West Virginia. But you can't let West Virginia beat you in stats, especially with Neil Brown as the head coach. That makes you laughable. But that puts you in the clown territory, the clown column. Let's compare that to the teams that actually made the playoffs. Let's just see how far off Texas A&M is. So once again, here's the reminder of Texas A&M stats. 21.2 points per game, which is 29th, and scored 22.8 points per game, which is 102nd. So there's the comparison. Number 1, Georgia, finishing 13-0. How did they do? 39.2 points per game, which is 11th. And allowing 12.8 points per game, which is 2nd. That's what a good team, a playoff contending, a national championship contending team looks like. What about Michigan? They also finished 13-0. Well, they averaged 40.1 points per game, which was 7th. Even better, and allowed just 13.4 points per game, which is 5th. There you go. Another great example. What about number 3, TCU, who finished 12-1, Big 12 runner-up? They averaged 40.3 points per game, which is 6th. But you know what? Texas A&M did have a better defense. TCU allows 25 points per game, which is 58th. That's still not a bad defense. It's just slightly above average. And then finally, number 4, Ohio State, who finished 11-1, averaging 44.5 points per game. Number 2 in the nation, now 19.2 points per game, which is 13th. That is what a playoff contending team stats should look like. Texas A&M, you're a joke, and there's no excuses other than you have a terrible head coach. And once again, Texas A&M recruiting at a high level this year, but will it translate onto the field? Speaking of hoarding talent, Texas A&M is having trouble keeping that talent. I mean, they re-up every year with a good recruiting class, but man, they're never going to have an experienced team to guide them to the playoffs if they keep losing these recruiting classes. And yesterday I did a video on the NIL worth that Texas A&M lost. I actually got that number a little bit off. It was because one of the players actually transferred to Texas A&M. And these aren't concrete numbers. This is something that 247 came up with. And to be honest with you, these numbers are actually probably higher than what we're seeing through 247. So it's probably worse than these numbers that I'm about to tell you. So player by player, here's what they're losing. 54,000, 167,000, 79,000, 33,000, 319,000, 58,000, 54,000, 37,000, 111,000, 55,000, 48,000, 43,000, 50,000, 53,000, 173,000, 60,000, 66,000, 55,000, 57,000, 72,000, 41,000, 60,000 for a grand total of $1,745,000. Compare that to West Virginia. Just a little over $700,000 worth of NIL potential is what West Virginia is losing. So things are really, really bad at Texas A&M, and they need a new head coach because Texas A&M can get the talent. They are hoarding talent over there. And listen, you could put a lot of teams into this category, like an Alabama, an Ohio State, a Georgia, a USC. There are a bunch of teams out there that are hoarding the top talent. But the difference between those teams and Texas A&M is they're actually using the players. They're actually having success on the field. This is why you're seeing a mass exodus at Texas A&M year after year after year, because the money gets them there, but they're like, man, we don't want to be here. We don't like losing like this. We don't like being the laughing stock of the entire nation. So yes, give me my paycheck, but I'm going to go somewhere else and get paid. And therefore, the transfer portal gets absolutely flooded by Texas A&M players. Yesterday I said it was 24. It's actually 23 because one of those players that I listed was actually coming to Texas A&M. So they're losing 23 players, and so far, I know they'll gain more, they're gaining 1. That's not a good ratio. And they're probably going to lose more. Yes, they're going to gain more, but they're probably going to lose more as well. So that ratio is not looking good at all. Can Texas A&M actually turn it around this year? They have the talent. They have all the talent in the world to turn it around. It's just like Texas. They should turn it around immediately. The question is, can they? Will Jimbo Fisher actually figure out how to win a football game? How to put an offense out there, a competent offense? Jimbo Fisher is a pretty good defensive mind. Let's be honest about that. He's pretty good on the defense. But on offense, he has no idea what he's doing. And apparently, his offensive coordinator and the entire offensive staff, they have absolutely no idea what they're doing over there. So that is a major issue that Texas A&M absolutely has to get fixed. In the meantime, stop hoarding the talent. Let it spread around because you're just hoarding talent for absolutely no reason, and they eventually leave anyways. Well, not eventually, almost immediately, the year after. I mean, think about it. How does Texas A&M, with all that talent, finish dead last in the SEC West? 5-7. You finished with the same record as a terrible Auburn who just fired their head coach, and Vanderbilt. You finished with the same record as Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt, yes, they were better this year, but still, they're Vanderbilt. Think about that. When you look at their season this year, this looks like somebody played a practical joke on Texas A&M. You start off with FCS Sam Houston State. Great, you win 31-0. But even that wasn't impressive. And then you come back home, lose to Appalachian State 17-14. And no, Appalachian State wasn't just that good. They finished 6-6. You got beat by a 6-6 Sun Belt team at home. Stay at home, beat number 13 Miami at home, even though Miami turned out to be 5-7, 17-9. That was pitiful. You beat number 10 Arkansas 23-21, but Arkansas just finished 6-6. And then the real nightmare continues. Oh man. I can't believe this. This is crazy, guys. This is crazy. At Mississippi State, they lose that 42-24. Mississippi State is a good team, 8-4. At number 1 Alabama, losing a close game. Texas A&M did have a good showing, 24-20. Alabama finished 10-2. At South Carolina, they lose that game, 30-24. South Carolina, decent team, 8-4. Lose to number 15 Ole Miss at home, 31-28. Ole Miss, not that great. They finished 8-4. You lose to Florida. Florida at home, 41-24, and Florida finished 6-7. At Auburn, you lose at Auburn, 13-10, and Auburn also finished 5-7. So the battle of the worst teams in the SEC West, You lost that, Texas A&M. Beat UMass 20-3, but UMass was a 1-11 team. The fact that you only put up 20 points on UMass, that's not good at all. And then somehow, some way, you beat number 5 LSU 38-23. LSU finished 9-4. And looking back at that, how laughable is it that LSU was number 5 going into that game? It really makes you think, don't it? So Texas A&M, you have all the talent in the world. Hey, if you're not going to have success, just spread that talent around, because you are what's wrong with college football right now. Y'all let me know in the comment section. Number 1, how much longer do you think Jimbo Fisher lasts at Texas A&M? Number 2, do you actually think Jimbo Fisher does get it figured out and they start having actual success, like getting to the SEC championship? And number 3, do you think that money will still keep recruits coming even though Texas A&M is just a bad football program right now? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.